JBN, we keep you informed. Inmate dies after trying to disarm correctional officers. The Department of Correctional Services, DCS, is reporting that an inmate from the St. Catherine Adult Correctional Center died yesterday while undergoing treatment at the Spanish Town Hospital in the parish. According to a release from the Ministry of National Security, the inmate had complained of chest pains and was taken to the hospital earlier yesterday. The release continued. While there, the inmate attempted to disarm the correctional officers of their service weapons when an officer's firearm was discharged, hitting him in the abdomen. The inmate was undergoing surgery for his injuries when he died. The Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF and the Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom were contacted and an investigation is underway. 16-year-old among 3 arrested in West Kingston. A 16-year-old boy implicated in the murder of 8-year-old Toya Brown was one of 3 persons who were arrested by members of the Kingston Western Police Division in separate incidents on Friday. According to the police, the teenager is being held on reasonable suspicion of murder, illegal possession of firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition. Brown was shot and killed about 5 p.m. on Wednesday, May 6. She was reportedly standing on the staircase of her home on Dumfries Street, Kingston 14, when the suspect allegedly pointed a firearm upstairs and began firing. Young Toya was shot to the upper body and died at the hospital. The police have also arrested a man in connection with the February murder of 42-year-old Kevin Clark of Greenwich Road, Kingston 5. The accused was arrested during an operation in the area. Lawmen said that Clark was reportedly standing along the roadway when the suspect and other men drove up in a motor car and opened fire. Clark was shot several times in the upper body. The identity of the suspect is being withheld pending further investigations. In another incident, detectives have charged 31-year-old Domain Taylor, otherwise called Ichipang, with 2 counts of shooting with intent and illegal possession of firearm and ammunition. According to the police, Taylor was arrested after he reportedly brandished a firearm and opened fire at a police team as they patrolled in the Kingston Western area. He is scheduled to appear before the Home Circuit Court at a later date. Correctional officer killed in road crash. A former correctional officer died in a motor vehicle crash in Portland yesterday. He has been identified as Rollin Brown, a former warden. He was allegedly hit from his bicycle in Buff Bay as 2 motor vehicles sped and crashed into a ditch about 4 p.m. yesterday. The police say both vehicles were traveling westerly from Buff Bay when the drivers lost control as they approached a corner near the community of Woodstock. The cars ran off the road and into a ravine. Brown was hit during the incident. He was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. The injuries to the passengers of both motor cars were not considered serious. The Buff Bay police are investigating. 9 cruise ship workers test positive for COVID-19. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has revealed that 9 of the 400 Jamaican crew members who disembarked the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line's Adventure of the Seas up to Friday have tested positive for the coronavirus. Those who returned negative results have since been reunited with their families and will self-quarantine at home for 14 days, while the others have been placed in state-run quarantine facilities. For home quarantine, individuals will be required to consent to have their location geofenced via JAM COVID-19 website and to do a video check multiple times daily. Approximately 1,044 Jamaican cruise ship workers arrived at the Falmouth cruise ship port on Tuesday last under the government's re-entry program. A total of 400 crew members disembarked the vessel on Thursday and Friday. Under the initiative, the crew members have to follow a number of protocols, including testing for COVID-19. Meanwhile, crew members resumed leaving the ship this morning despite inclement weather after a break on Saturday. Some 244 are expected to be processed today, and officials are hoping to complete the processing of the 1,044 crew members by Thursday, way ahead of the planned 2-week time frame. On Thursday, Dr. Tufton told reporters that the processing of the first batch of Jamaicans from the ship went smoothly, adding that the process was completed ahead of schedule. Holness to provide timeline for return of Jamaicans at sea. Leader of government business in the Upper House, Senator Kamina Johnson Smith, says the government will be providing a timeline for the return of all Jamaicans on board cruise ships. The update will be given by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Johnson Smith, who is also Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, made the disclosure while responding to questions following a statement in the Senate on Friday. The seafarers on board cruise ships and other vessels have been stranded at sea due to COVID-19 travel restrictions. On Friday, Johnson Smith provided an update on the activities and actions of her ministry to support Jamaicans overseas affected by the closure of the country's borders. Royal Caribbean's Adventure of the Seas, with 1,044 Jamaican crew on board, docked at the Falmouth cruise ship pier in Trelawney on Tuesday, with the first 200 workers disembarking the vessel on Thursday. The government is working on scheduling the repatriation of the remaining seafarers out there, and again, this is across 9 ship lines, and I would say easily more than 115 ships, some of which are being consolidated even as we speak, Johnson Smith said. Ship workers who test positive for COVID-19 are to be placed in state quarantine, while those who test negative will be allowed to self-quarantine at home for 14 days. Persons in home quarantine will have their location tracked and must do video check-ins multiple times a day. Johnson Smith said the government is committed to bringing all nationals home in a safe manner to protect the safety and health of the entire population, and maintained that the state has never refused the entry of any vessel. We have never refused any ship. Let me state that for the record. We have not taken any action which is in breach of the International Maritime Labour Convention, and this is in fact one of the issues which we raised with the shipping lines, even as we expressed our appreciation for their adherence to the convention by taking due care for our nationals while they have ceased to operate and ensuring that they are returned to their home port as required under the convention, she noted. All male victims, autopsies done on 5 bodies found in shallow graves. The police said the post-mortem examinations of the bodies that were found in shallow graves on a plot of land in the vicinity of Washington Gardens and the Sandy Gully in St. Andrew on May 12 have been completed. The police said that based on earlier findings, the 5 bodies are all males. An investigator on the case said they are now awaiting further results as they now seek to establish the identities of the victims. We are now awaiting full results of the post-mortem. These details will be used to help police verify the identities of the victims who were found, the police source said. Sources said so far authorities have a list of names that they suspect could be among the victims, but they are unable to confirm any identity until the full results are available. The police reported that investigators acting on information went to the location in an area called Danger Island, and after hours of search, the bodies were found. Tourism timeline. Stakeholders pressure government to set date for reopening ports. The Andrew Holness administration has come under immense pressure from the powerful and influential Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association JHTA, which has called for a planned reopening date of the island's borders for international and local tourism. In a media release Friday evening, the JHTA argued that the government must give the nation a clear indication of the timeline for the reopening of the country's borders. The call follows 3 months of complete lockdown of the sector and the loss of billions of dollars in revenue since the declaration of the COVID-19 pandemic. The closure happened at the peak of the winter tourist season in March, and Jamaica will likely miss out on a traditionally strong summer marked by weddings and returning Jamaicans who would normally vacation here between July and September. International airline partners are currently looking at their schedule, and if we don't give them a startup date, they are likely to reposition their aircraft to other destinations which have indicated their readiness to start up, lamented JHTA President Omar Robinson. So far, St. Lucia and Antigua and Barbuda have announced reopening for June 4, with American Airlines set to fly to those destinations. Robinson said it was time for Jamaica to begin living with COVID until the virus can be eliminated. There is no doubt in anyone's mind of the seriousness of this health-related crisis we, along with the rest of the world, are living through. But it is now clear that we have at a minimum 18 to 24 months before we can expect a viable vaccine to become available, and likely much longer before it is sufficiently distributed worldwide, he claimed. The JHT represents several of the island's hoteliers, villa and attraction operators, transportation companies, and destination management companies. The JHT said it has been working in close partnership with the government for the development of strengthened sanitization and personal health protocols to govern the operations of the businesses in the tourism sector. Our accommodations, attractions, transportation, craft traders, and others will be required to implement what will be protocols benchmarked against some of the best such standards around the world, said Robinson. In fact, many tourism businesses have started to implement these protocols, source the requisite PPEs for team members, and are in progress to start the training of their team members towards reopening, he added. The group says the lockdown has had a devastating impact on close to 300,000 direct and indirect tourism workers locally who are suffering financially. Robinson argued that there is also a real possibility that if the uncertainty drags on much longer, quite a few of the sector businesses might fail to reopen at all, putting many Jamaicans out of work. Just over a week ago, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, during an interview on CNN's Quest Main Business, said that as critical as the island's #1 foreign exchange earner was, his priority was the health and the safety of the Jamaican people and their livelihood. He stated then that there would be no trade-off between the health and economy of Jamaicans. I don't see the two as mutually exclusive. You need healthy people to make the economy work, and a working economy gives you healthy people. So for us as a government, we are ensuring we balance these two critical areas. However, the JHT said it was cognizant of the fact that not all their businesses have the same resources and capacity, so sector-wide readiness would be staggered over weeks to months. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember, subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.